Welcome to the Beacon by Soul 33 teachings for your past, present, and future. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's Monday Mantra. It is the 5th of February here in Auckland, New Zealand, and you really help me by tagging, sharing, letting people know this app exists when you are subscribing to the YouTube channel or tagging Soul33 when you're doing a meditation. The more and more that this app gets out there, the more that I can actually create in terms of resources and improving this app so it is your go-to spiritual app for your soul progression. It is another week. It is a big week. It is Chinese New Year. I grew up, I was born in Malaysia. I spent a few years there before I moved to New Zealand. So I did all my schooling in New Zealand, but I also spent a few years living in Malaysia from the age of about 15 to 18. And then I was traveling up and down for business purposes over the years. So I have a strong connection with Malaysia, and why I'm bringing this up is that even though I'm Sri Lankan by ethnicity, generations of my family are Malaysian, and in Malaysia it is very accepting of all the cultural beliefs, and so therefore everyone that is represented in the cultures of Malaysia, such as Malaysian Chinese New Year is a big festival. And so it is part of my culture celebrating Chinese New Year with our fellow Malaysian friends. So I'm quite excited to talk about this week's energy, but we've got a bit to recap first before we move into this week's energy. Last week, I was talking a lot about our crown chakras. There was also a lot of pressure in the third eye, but it was mostly the crown chakra activation. People were having headaches, people were feeling the tingling, people were feeling the bugs-like sensation on their heads. And what is happening is this incredible upgrade, an upgrade of vibration for us to feel more connected to spirit, connected to other people. So when I set the Monday mantra last week, I always keep them in a way that's easy for people to remember, easy and practical for people to not be thinking like, what are we meant to be feeling this week? A place of coming back to the Monday mantra. And your Monday mantra last week was gratitude in my heart grows as I am making a transition by observing what flows. So the key thing there is that, sure, we want to be grateful for what we've got, but knowing that that is part of the transition. I saw a number of people last week who want to move. They want to not be doing what they're doing anymore. But the issue with that is that if you're not grateful for what you've got, it's very hard to actually create something new and see what the transition is. Like I wrote here, there is a bit of old and a bit of the new. Now, as I progressed throughout the week, what I realized Spirit was saying is that the old were old triggers, old emotions coming up, old feelings. Now, I certainly had this coming up in my own life where I'm going about having a nice day and then someone says something to me and it brings me back to an old feeling. And I'm like, how am I going to respond to this? My response is I went inside myself and I was like, what am I grateful for that this has been brought up with me? Because it's obviously triggered something in me. That was the old. That was the old that had to come up in order for the new to make a transition. So how were you feeling last week? I had times last week where I had to really force myself to find what I was grateful for. For me, I know some people were the opposite because I've had discussions with people about the Monday mantra during their sessions with me. I found the first part of the week really easy to find things to be grateful for. And then towards the end of the week, because I know that I usually start picking up new or full moon phase energies about a week before, that I had to find that place of like, right, what am I grateful for? Because I'm feeling a bit melancholy. This is the old part of me, that Scorpio shadow side that's there, that rears its head sometimes. And I was seeing that snake-like energy around me also going, oh, this is part of me that's coming up. part of the old and the new. And so as we entered February, there is some downtime. So I'm not saying that everyone was just lying around doing nothing. The downtime is what I'm talking about in terms of energy. And this is very important so that we can create by appreciating where we are here and now. I feel that if you experience old things coming up last week in order for us to embrace the new, it is because we needed to acknowledge that this is where we are now. We're responding to the things differently. We are supported in different ways. And, I mentioned last week that I had a spirit guide, Mark, come through in a meditation just before I recorded the Monday mantra. And his role was to observe, interpret, and document. And so this was interesting because I'd forgotten this part. I'm just reviewing this myself as I am relaying to you and reminding all of us what the energy has been about. I really did have to observe. I had to observe the old in clients going, okay, you want to step into your healer abilities, you want to be able to move away from your work, but we need to understand the old patterns and be grateful for what got you here to this point. And now we need to interpret it. I remember lots of people were getting the messages to write. Now, I didn't journal or write, but I was documenting notes for myself to be able to put into a larger document or post or whatever I want to do with it later. So through speech and through the written word, last week was really important. I talked a lot during my sessions last week. There was just a lot to put together, but this was in order for those memories that we're creating and remembering, old memories to create new ones. And it was all coming up for our purification. It made me laugh because on Friday after I'd finished clients, I was really tired and my partner said to me, come on, let's go for a beach walk. And it was really stormy here. And I was thinking, oh gosh, but I didn't really put two and two together because I'm not usually someone who goes out in storms for a walk, but I thought, probably could be good for grounding myself because my head was up in the universe all day for that day and the days before for seeing clients. And so I took my shoes off and we were literally facing wind in our face and sand and sea spray. Like I had my hood on as tightly as possible. But then I realized the reason I'm out here is because I'm needing to be purified. So when we think of that word purify, we can even go back to the word simplicity, the word of everything coming back to a neutral place where the old meets the new. And this was really important because it's part of that catching up with our body, catching up with our mind, catching up with our heart, catching up with our connection to spirit. And this is in order for us to be able to have this focused intention of what we want to create. What are we envisioning? What are we wanting to bring in? It all starts from being pure. Like a lot of people, sure, there's lots of intuitive people in the world, but I know for me, when my body is pure, like often when I see clients face to face for a soul ceremony in my home, I don't eat for 24 hours. I'll just be drinking water because the more pure my vessel is, the more receptive I am. And this is part of that crown chakra clearing and connection, which is also affecting our third eye, which is also affecting our heart space. This is why the February purification meditation that I've put on, Goddess Diana comes in, and when she laid that amethyst on my head, I knew that everything had to from top down. And so we want the heart and mind to align. We want the body to prepare to act, the throat to speak. I had a lot of throat things. I was clearing my throat a lot last week. I even saw a client, and I'd never met this person before. And I kept saying to this person, I'm talking from up here, not in my chest. And I said, this is interesting because I'm seeing a past life of yours where your partner is strangling you. And turns out this particular client has had several abusive situations in her lifetimes before and in this lifetime. And so this is why things like that, even though you're not consciously knowing it, it's all beginning to clear, all beginning to become pure, more receptive. There's a really I talked about the water thing a few weeks ago. Drinking purified water where you can, even if you're just putting a little charcoal stick in your water bottles, which are very inexpensive. We need to be able to be as pure as possible, making conscious decisions where we can with what we eat and what we're consuming. And this is all aligning to give us the inner power and will to bring us what we deserve. Because there is an aspect of us and our worthiness and what we feel inside as to what we actually physically attract. We need to have downtime to let everything catch up. It's really important to have restoration and rest. It wasn't Earthbound Week in the sense of getting things done. I completely did not know last Monday was a public holiday here in New Zealand. I was working. Didn't even think until the end of the day when my partner goes, "You worked so much today." And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "It's a public holiday." I was like, "Oh, this makes complete sense." But it was this, I managed to go back into that state of rest after I realized that. I was like, no wonder everything around me is very still, because it was a public holiday. But there is a continuation of doing things from a place of empowerment. Like, I found myself just having to get things done, but doing it because I wanted to. I enjoy it. My heart is telling me why I want to do this. I know my driver. So what is your driver? What is driving you? Being grateful goes beyond just, oh, thank you for this, and I'm so thankful for this. It's really knowing what you have and where you are and why you have it, and let that gratitude be here for what already exists, because we should be grateful for the things we're wanting to bring in, like always assuming that it's there, because energetically it just hasn't had that time to come in yet. We've been maybe giving mixed signals to the universe. But if you're wanting to bring in more of anything, you've got to be grateful for what you have, even if it's such a struggle to think of what that is. There will be something, there will be many things. There was a bit of a particular focus on money. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this. I had a couple of instances around money. And so I'm going to be honest here. I had a product distribution company in Asia, and a couple of years ago, I shut it down completely because it was COVID. I couldn't get to Malaysia. I couldn't, and it cost me a lot of money to keep that business going. And I had an interesting instance where, and I'm going to be so open about this, I had a bill come in from Malaysia, and the Malaysian accountants were charging me an exorbitant fee for the accounting of my business over the last 2 years, which hasn't had one transaction go through it. And I'm talking, they were charging me thousands of dollars. And in their breakdown, there was fees for telephone calls, petrol fees for traveling. And so Kieran and I went back going, who are you calling? Where are you traveling to? So that focus, that money thing came up, because I'm happy to pay people. Of course, when you have companies and things, there are certain things that you do have to pay during the transition of keeping a business open and going, even though if it's not trading, and different countries have different rules. But the blatant lies that were put in this semi-detailed invoice for a company that hasn't had one transaction. And I was thinking, how can I be grateful for this? And the great gratitude I had was that, I picked it up, that Kieran was able to go back and say, hang on, so I'm not sure what's going to happen from that. But what I did say to the accountant, I said, don't lie to me. I said, I'm happy to pay whatever I technically owe you. Who are you calling? Where are you traveling to? For a company that hasn't got anything to submit but the basic documentation. And so I was thinking, there's a focus on money, there's progress, but it's a culmination of what you have now and what possibilities are entering for you. So this company hasn't completely shut down yet. And so this is the transition I've been making over the last couple of years. But I know that I had to go through this as a lesson to be able to realize the dishonesty that can occur when you are not present in the country of where a business is operating, And the possibilities are going to be entering from me eliminating that from my life. The other thing I had about money, and it's the same lesson but different angle. And the reason why I'm bringing this up with you is so that you can apply it in your life. Like I said to you, when we're obligated to pay things, we pay them. We honor the person, we pay for the fee, whatever. And we have to, adhere to that. But I think there should be a gratitude in the ability to be able to pay. I'm so glad to be honoring that person for their gift or for their service or whatever it is that they're doing. So what money things came up for you? I remember a lot of the clients that I was talking to last week are wanting to bring in more income streams. So there is progress around money, but it might be strange situations where you're making a transition to close things or eliminate certain things in your life and really consolidate. I did spend a lot of time meditating because of all the activity for this spiritual energetic upgrade, connecting with yourself, connecting with people you love. In my dreams, my friend who passed away, who I mentioned, who passed away at 40, she has come to me 3 times in my dreams over the last week, telling me and showing me certain things that I'm overcoming. And just realizing that you don't have to do everything right now. It is a transition. And you will know when it's time to take the bull by the horns, which is coming, and getting ready. All the things are getting ready behind the scenes. So you just do your tasks and observe what flows. So for me, all those transitionary old things that I haven't been actively part of my life coming up so that it can create the new version of me. As we progress throughout the week, I talked about the old and new energies, like what old part of you you're taking into the new and needing time for that to integrate. And then the soul progression oracle card came up, letting us know that when we follow our heart knowing, we progress more spiritually, but this information is coming from our crown connection. We are being guided if we choose to listen. We lead ourselves in and out of situations and experiences. We become more courageous to heal and focus. The week that we've had, even though it's transitionary kind of earthbound week, there was a lot of spiritual upgrades because we needed time to purify and to integrate all of that. We are making big progress spiritually, and there's a lot begins to recuperate and restore when we realize that this is actually what's happening. This is why many people are feeling physical sensations in their crown chakras, because everything is beginning to activate because you're becoming more pure in a way. You may not be able to feel things physically yet. Remember, through your meditation and your spiritual practice, it doesn't happen because you're forcing it. You're doing it because you want to, empowering yourself to connect deeper with who you are. And so this is just the beginning. It is really the beginning of all of our spiritual paths. The soul progression card came up to remind us that the times when we feel things are mundane and we're just doing what we need to do and that nothing is happening is actually a time of great transition. So be grateful for everything, as this vibration is the momentum toward and forward for your soul progression. And that gratitude message is for any time. It's just that we made it the Monday mantra for last week. The February purification, we have an opportunity to purify this whole month, even though I broke it down as a last week thing, because there's going to be a lot of death and rebirth. Unfortunately, before recording this Monday mantra, my mum messaged to say someone that they know has passed away at a very young age. And there's going to be physical death, energetic death, physical birth, energetic birth or conception, all of that happening. So we need to be pure to receive and understand. So I've uploaded the February purification meditation. You can do that as often as you want throughout the month of February, whether you do it once a week or once every couple of days, but keep persevering with it, keep doing it, because we want to be able to keep purifying the chakras through this month. Someone had put a message in the group chat that they did it and they were in a flood of tears after doing the February purification meditation, and then got up with anxiety. What that is that old that is coming in to be released, to be in the new. Okay, so it's all part of the purification. Just like my water distiller, once we've distilled water, we have to clean out all the old gunk in the bottom. That's exactly, or throw out the coffee filter. It's the same thing that's happening for us. As I did and wrote the extended meaning of the Monday mantra, I want you to listen very carefully to this wherever you are. To purify means to release the old and come back to a place of pure gratitude. It's a place of innocence and joy in why we wanted something in the first place. What it brings us before we forgot and took it for granted. From this pure space, we can set all our intentions for our new reality. Purification is happening naturally as we level up our energy fields. So this first part here, to purify means to release the old and come back to a place of pure gratitude. It's a place of innocence and joy in why we wanted something in the first place. We cannot intend from a place of fear. Like the thing that triggered me last week that I went internal to go, okay, why is this upset me, or why is this an old feeling that I'm getting? I had to actually look at the person that said something to me which triggered me, and my crown chakra is actually hurting right now while I'm talking about this. So yours is also going to be clearing and purifying. It's giving you that energy of innocence and joy right now. Did that person mean to say that in a malicious way? And it wasn't. There was actually innocence behind that statement or request that was made. So look at people's intentions when you are triggered by something. Look at your intent. Like, is this coming from a place of innocence and purity? Like when a child asks you something or says something, you know, if they're small children and don't understand manipulation or anything like that, that it's coming from a place of like, I'm genuinely asking that. I'm genuinely noticing that. This is just how I feel. And so that's also a key message. Like, what's the intention behind your intentions yourself, or what's being communicated by you, what you're observing? And we take everything for granted, but we need to remember why we have the things in the first place. The functionality of this wooden table that I bought, but I also like the color of it, and why we have everything. We just take things for granted, coming back to that innocence and purity. And this is the space that we can create a new reality because we are upping our energy field. This is purification is at the core of everything as we move into the month of February. Our relationships are being purified. Even if you're not in one, your relationship energy, and I was working on a lot of people who are wanting deeper connections with their partners or wanting to bring someone in. Our money relationship, the things we want to bring in, our energy field, all purifying, all leveling up. It's all clearing and connecting us from the old to the new. And it starts with gratitude for what we have now. And not just being thankful, like I mentioned, by knowing why it's there, really recognizing what was this there for? Why did I have this? Why did I bring this into my life? I am always here for you, but just remember, I am only one person, so I'm doing my best to be able to have resources out there that everyone can afford, but also gives you some form of guidance, healing, and this app is the best way to connect with me because I do read the group chats while I can't always respond because I'm working or doing my own home things and life stuff. I do read them and I love reading them. I loved how lots of you are writing about the Rest Easy meditation. That is something that you should all add to your favorites. And when you do it for a while, give it a bit of a rest and then go back to it because you want things to be able to integrate and merge. Mini readings and personalized meditations are the best way to connect with me. Everything else is waitlisted, but as you know, I am working in a way where I see clients and then I have a big rest and then I let Kira know how many more I think I can do. So I will just be opening things up for new and regular clients as and when I can. But if you're wanting proper, deep, intense time with me, seeing me at home for a soul ceremony is the best way. Because when I see you, I only see one person and that is all. Because all that energy and clarity is all for you. Kieran is the person to email, soul33@gmail.com. It is only $60 per year to be a part of this app, which is a very nominal fee. Those who are joining us for the first time on a Monday Mantra, I keep the app subscription link off the app stores, because if I had it on the app stores, they take such a huge percentage that I'd have to at least triple the price of the app in order to pay them. So it's an extra step, but I always know when you want something and it's worth something to you, you will take that extra step to do it. So Kieran is the person to ask. If you're having any IT issues, please don't stay in silence or write it in the group chat, because we won't know who you are. Kieran has direct communication with our developers and will get onto it to sort out whatever it is that is an issue for you. And remember, it's technology. There is always going to be things that will come up that are needing some sort of password reset or something like that, but it's no issue. Just email Kieran. Okay, this week's energy. Your Monday mantra this week is: the grass will grow where I water it. The grass will grow where I water it. Don't water the weeds. There is a turn in energy this week with the Lunar New Year changing to the year of the dragon. This is a powerful, powerful year, and a powerful month with this intense energy coming in next week with the new moon. February is a powerful month, one of death and rebirth. This is that upgrade really fine-tuning itself for us to feel like, oh my goodness, I'm in this power position to create. Fertility and creation is a really big part of this week. Remember, we have to conceive, but the purification that's taken place is what is enabling us to conceive whatever it is that we're wanting to conceive and then create from. This week there is movement, even though we're still being asked to focus on what we have in front of us in order to bring in more. Now, with our relationships, because we've got Valentine's Day next week, it's time to reinvent ways to nurture one another, and in some cases, decide if this is what you want and this is what you want to keep continuing on with. Do you want to water and grow this relationship or not? Okay, so a lot of decisions around boundaries and relationships are being made. I'm not even just talking about intimate relationships, I'm talking about situations with everybody. So are you wanting to water it and nurture it or not? People often want change, but it starts from where you are at. What are you going to water this week? This is something you're going to need to stop and remember. Am I watering this particular situation, or am I adding fuel? Okay. There will be a recalibration. This is why we've been purifying to release density. Things are shifting and breaking down for the better. So that old part of us, many little breakdowns, but we're coming from a different place of resilience. It's not just resilience to cope. It's truly being healed within us. Right here, where you are, needs attention so that you can reap the benefits of creation. Ignoring what is there is not going to help. It's funny, these last few new moons, I'm sure you would have noticed there has been a releasing aspect to it. Usually the full moon we release with, but the new moon energy is also bringing in that releasing aspect, meaning if you don't ignore something, it's going to be brought to your attention. I mean, if you are going to ignore something, it's going to be brought to your attention. And ignoring it is not going to help. So you might find this week that things that you've been trying to brush under the carpet or not deal with or not face, and the Spirit's telling me now this could be even with paying certain bills or making financial commitments, you're not going to face it. It's not going to help the situation. Nothing is going to change. The hustle has paused in order for us to check in on what we want and what we have. This includes your health. Don't forget to water yourself. With this special new moon, we are connecting and acknowledging our emotions. So therefore, those old emotions coming up, things are beginning in order for us to take pride, and from there you can make changes. So things are beginning, and in order for us to begin them, we need to take pride in what we have now, and from there we can make changes. Finances and how to make money are still up for deliberation and being practical. Now, this has been coming up a lot. How do I monetize what I do? This is a question many people are asking themselves. And this takes time to really figure out what your unique selling point is in terms of being able to monetize what you do. So this is the type of practical thinking, envisioning how you want to be bringing in money based on what you do. It's still, people haven't quite figured that out yet. So this is still something for you to think about. You are, though, flowing effortlessly into things you create, and there is a positive outcome. You just have to trust in the flow. There is a movement in emotions, and they can bring about this catalyst to create the physical change. Emotions can set us free by expressing them in a way that makes the change. The beginning of the new cycle in our 2024 chapter, it's really this light, expansive time during this lunar new year. It's time to set those intentions, this new moon, to build on what we've got. Look at things differently. Look at them from a place of like deep connection through your crown chakra. What do you want to create effortlessly? And how can you create that from what you've got now? How will you use your emotions to be a support for your growth? I've given you meditations for your homework that are still purifying, that are clearing the chakras, sending intentions into the universe, finding your circumstantial power. It's all important as part of the energy for this week. So remember, whatever you want to water, make sure it's not the weeds and make sure you're not pouring fuel on it. I'm here for you. Whatever you need in terms of mini readings and personalized meditations can be done, almost put in motion straight away. But seeing me in any capacity is waitlisted, but it is always the right time when you do see me. Keep sharing in the group chat. You don't have to say who you are if you don't want to, but what's happening spiritually for you? What are you feeling? What are you sensing? What are you seeing? Because there's lots of people that read the group chat that you are helping in terms of expressing yourself. Maybe that's how you wrote to express yourself with last week's energy. Happy Chinese New Year for all of those celebrating. I'll be spending Chinese New Year with one of my friends who has a family that celebrates this, and I'm very, very excited. Now, I want you to close your eyes for a moment and really tune into the power of the dragon, bringing in transformational energy to embrace the death and rebirth energies without fear, knowing that you will be guided in what you need to water, knowing that the old parts of you are shifting and dense energy is releasing so that you can be in a purified, connected, and conscious state. Your Monday mantra: the grass will grow where I water it. The grass will grow where I water it. Have a great week. Wishing you beautiful transformation, an active crown chakra to receive, giving you that place of innocence and joy and gratitude to be able to cultivate the relationships that you want and really make decisions that are informed by your heart and by your spirit guides, that this is truly who you want to be.